Yeah. Well, Peter Piper picked peppers and wrote rhymes. Humpty Dumpty fell down. That's his hard times. Yo, this is right here, right now. I'd like to welcome y'all out to Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Kalonji Jama Changa. And Burn It Down, Kim Brown. And Kamal K. Franklin.
What's happening? What's going down? Ear Doctor in the building, doing what he does.
Yo,
Right.
Good morning.
Had to get y'all hyped up, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Boy,
dig it.
Kamal looks unhyped.
Mine
Ow.
looks froze. I think he's
He
froze.
do look
I'm not
froze.
sure.
Oh, there
Okay,
it
you're
is.
good. He came back now.
It's going to freeze. I could see it as soon as I come on. It was perfect until I popped on the air. Then all of a sudden, there's internet problems.
Oh, look at that. Hey, I didn't know you and Kalonji called each other to match shirts. That's nice.
Oh, isn't that cute?
We was trying to match.
Different colors. What are you talking about? These are clearly different colors.
Are
In the
they?
same family, in the family.
Guys.
We fam.
Kamal's sort of matched more with Kim's wall in the back. So
I agree.
you know,
Both of y'all do.
and Ear Doctor's face. So it's kind of
Oh,
it's all good. What a
Word.
combination.
said my man
Anyway.
was orange. I love it.
Orange, yes.
Orange.
Definitely
Orange.
I like
Shout
an
out to
orange.
ATL.
A bold orange.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
for you. In fact, here, Doctor, this is for you. This is me stepping out of my normal.
I see. That's why that
Did
is the
that for
first
you.
thing attracted me. I was like, this dude does not have a long john shirt on. He got a sweatshirt.
Oh,
Wow. Isn't that wonderful?
Yo.
Won't he
let
do
the
it?
man wear his long johns in January in peace. Ear Doctor.
Thank you. I like my long john shirt.
That
Makes me
man want a
feel like,
rust
I
color
got a
on.
hat. I'm cutting wood in the backyard.
If
Yeah.
you did that.
Right.
It makes me feel. It makes me feel. Not like
Ear Doctor noted that you did not wear your long john shirt when you went on Democracy Now. He was like, "Oh, look at him! He found a shirt with buttons."
Mhm.
He got fancy, didn't he?
Yeah.
There was a jacket. I did a little jacket for him.
He was going to see Amy. He's like, let me get dressed for Amy.
All y'all
Amen.
step y'all game up when y'all ain't on this show. I'm wondering what's going on here. Let me find out.
Is that what they do here, Doctor?
We
They
home,
do.
Ear Doctor. We home. I'm gonna be
All right.
taking out my twist throughout this entire morning show. So I mean,
Definitely the
It's-
morning show.
it's what it's gonna be. It's what it's gonna be.
Word. That's what it is. We listen. Y'all have a great show, and I'll catch you on the next break. Peace.
We got the Ear Doctor try to cut out real quick. Yo, shout out to the chat. You know what I mean? Consistently consistent. Being here with us, remixes. We're going on 2 years, folks.
Next month.
2 years next month.
Mm.
Woo!
Look at us making Black history. I love it. I love it.
And we
It's like
haven't
50
sold
years
out.
for a
yet.
black business. You know what I'm saying? I know we don't like to call ourselves a black business, but it's like 50 years in the business,
Talk-
the black business
talk-
game.
I talked to Jared about
Got
that.
just as much revenue as anybody else, so you know.
Shout out to Balagoon. Yes, we are self-sponsored. We are sponsored by the people. People sponsored. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing.
Run that dough, people. Run that money.
Okay.
805. I don't
Collecting
see
the 805.
one super chat yet. 805.
You said you see one super chat yet.
Come out. It's an off pay week. This is the people had rent to pay last week. Man, give the people a chance. Wait till that 15th check.
But
Sir?
we're not all on the 15th. By the time the 15th comes, it's like what, Friday? They done spent that money over the weekend. Then we come back on Tuesday. Then we got to wait for the 30th check. It's not good timing this month. We got to get it in where we can. A couple of extra
You-
dollars.
We have some new folks in the chat.
Really?
Waffle
I
Guy
didn't know that.
2099 said he found this channel from FD Signifier. Heard Kamal's on FD Signifier. I don't necessarily know what FD Signifier is, but shout out to FD Signifier because
What
a
is
couple
it,
people was
Kamal?
like,
It's a brother with a show that he talks about, I guess, everything from Black culture to some serious issues. I guess everything is serious issues, but some real in-depth issues.
Mhm.
But his channel, he's got one of them channels. It's like over 100,000 followers and all the rest of it. So it's like huge on YouTube.
Mhm.
He was but we had pretty, from my point of view, we had like 20,000 so far. Like it just went up yesterday. Like, so I'm like, oh, great. From his point of view, he's like, damn, that's really low.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa, that's not my usual numbers. I usually get like in a week, like I guess in a month's time, his videos do like 200,000 or 300,000 views. So we limping along on Cop City at like 20,000. I'm all like, oh, that's good. And he's like, yeah, it's nothing. He's like, I'll never have you on again. I'll never have you on again.
Listen. Hey, look, BPM over here, we get 20,000 views, somebody's in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's been for a year for us, 20,000 views. What?
Yeah, they kind of hold us back. It's like I think they stopped the counter at a certain space. They like, hold it, pause. You know
he does say he thinks the algorithms, anytime he does harder content, he says the algorithms somehow switch up on him.
Somehow.
Yeah. So he definitely thinks there's a little YouTube issue going on in terms of algorithms and the rest of it or whatever, which I, of course, don't know nothing about. Well, but I'm going to push that show on my huge social media network, of course. I'm going to push the show. If she gets the numbers up at least 12 more, there'll be 12 more watchers after I push it.
Oh, boy, it's about to go down.
It's about to go down. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to watch it. It'll be 13. I'm going to do that for you.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to do that for you. You know what I'm saying? Only today.
Anyway. Kim, you're on Status Quo, right?
It's on Wednesdays, yes.
Okay, so Status Quo, I don't know if they care, if they want me to announce, but I'll give it down. I think they might be doing something on Cop City too, soon. So
good. Yeah, I talked to the young white fellow from the Atlanta Solidarity Fund.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yeah.
My connection or no?
No, it wasn't. Okay. But that's okay. I mean, we all connected, Kamau. So
I tried.
It was it's all right. Hey, listen, I understand why them people are not trying to put their faces out there, dog. They trying to charge them with terrorists. Like they ain't got, listen, no explanation needed. The feds are trying to charge you as a terrorist. You can totally hide your face. I'm okay with that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But no, is his name Marlon? I'm so bad with
names.
Marlon. I've been knowing Marlon for years. Marlon's a good dude. Yeah.
Marlon's been
organizing. Well, yeah, for decades.
What are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say he's been organizing for decades. Marlon's a good dude.
He is. They put together, like, he's not your regular anarchist. He's like he's an anarchist. You know what I'm saying? He's not. And I love the black box anarchists. Don't get me wrong. I love an organizer who can fuck some shit up. And I do like the non-structured, the even level thing. But what I also give him credit for is, I feel like he also tries to build infrastructure. He tried to be real civil rights leader. We did a press conference. He tried to act like he was civil rights leader. It's like, it just doesn't work for you. You can't do that.
And Marlon can't hide his face. So if he's trying to hide his face, it's like out there, dog. Everybody know you are. I mean, your whole silhouette says Marlon.
So you know what I'm saying. You basically got the big A on your chest with the, you know what I'm saying, the red A. It's like you're an anarchist, but you can't sound like you're a civil rights dude.
And plus the whole hide your face thing that might work.
No, he wasn't trying to do that. He wasn't. Okay. He was actually trying to be his version of mainstream, anarchist. Like there is such a thing.
All right, he was being black then. But anyway,
when Marlon was on Status Quo, he wasn't hiding his face. When Kamau was trying to link me with some other people that are doing that movement, they were reluctant, I think, to come on and show But not Marlon. Marlon came on there full faced it, said, "No, it's me." But what's going on with Status Quo in Cop City? You said, are you going to be in Status Quo?
When is the Marlon show going to air, though? When is that?
It's already aired. It's already aired. I know you don't follow me on YouTube, and that's cool, Kamau. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel no kind of way about it. It's all right. But no, we spoke with Marlon a week and some change ago.
We gonna change some guy. Okay, I'm gonna find that show, and then I'm gonna pump it up with my huge social media audience.
Kim has had like 5 shows since the last time.
Another 15 views. I got you right after this show. Another 15 views for you.
Appreciate that. We need those 15. So okay, I'm sorry, but you were saying that what is happening on Status Quo with Cop City?
Only that they're supposed to be coming to interview around the issue of Cop City.
Oh, good. Are you going to be part of it?
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
All right. Now that we've given Status Quo all these kudos. Welcome to Black Power Media.
Hey, but I'd be bigging up Black Power Media on Status Quo.
I rock with Status Quo only because of you. I don't even, I didn't even know they existed. I'm not gonna lie, folks out there in podcast land, let y'all in on something. I don't really watch podcasts, but anyway,
no,
I don't even watch us. You know what I'm saying?
There's like these particularly these white YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of followers. The best I knew about was Young Turks, and I was obviously
Young Turks. Yeah, back in the day.
But not because of Jared, because of Jay. Now I know what I would call the milieu of like white lefty liberal podcasters. Now at least I know more of their names and faces and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
I see a couple of them, and they, like, hey, how you doing, Brother Kalonji? Whatever. I'm gonna have you on the show next week. Like, yeah.
Would they be like Kalonji?
Hey, Brother Kalonji, how you doing? Look at it. Anyway, welcome to the Remix Morning Show, and I'm Clarence John Chang, and I don't give up about none of that. Anyway, I'm just joking. We have a live show today. It's a whole lot going on the planet Earth.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
I just saw Biden. Biden was hiding the classified documents as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is just, we gotta love this place. We gotta love this place. Shout out to all the folks that's been checking us out from day one. We have a whole lot of new content coming on. A couple more shows be coming on.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
So on your show, your show yesterday, Duba was on.
Yes.
Now, was he in the bathroom for part of the show?
Okay, so check it.
What happened? I don't understand.
Deruba, shout out to Deruba, who's popped on the first two Guerrilla Intellectual joints, Guerrilla Intellectual University. Yesterday, he was actually in a coffee shop, and he there was a part he dropped a bomb yesterday. Y'all gotta check that out, where he said that there in his FBI COINTEL profiles, there's a certain national member, or a person in leadership in the Black Panther Party who may have been an FBI asset, and he called them by name. So go back and check that out. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he was in a coffee shop, and he said, "Man, it's too loud in here, whatever." We was having a little bit of trouble hearing him, so he took it to the bathroom. So he did a few questions from the bathroom, locked the bathroom because it was, he said, "I'm gonna lock the damn bathroom."
He locked the whole bathroom out. He locked the whole bathroom.
Man, Deruba, stop trying to act like you ain't never met him before.
Gangster, nobody using the bathroom.
What kind of man do you do? Hey, that's what's happening with this Black Power media. You know what I'm saying? Like,
act like in his balls and be like, get the hell out of here.
This is now my new office.
I got
everybody. So anyway, so he finished it from the joint, but definitely he dropped a couple jewels, and then he left smoke clear. But yeah, so that's Deruba.
I was Deruba's lawyer actually for a civil rights case that he had. Second chair, not his lead attorney, but second. Bob Boyle was kind enough to bring me on he was suing the district attorney's office. It was his second lawsuit post getting out. He had already sued the FBI in terms of hiding documents. This was considered something that's called the Brady information, which wasn't released, and that was the basis of the lawsuit. And that was my first real interaction with D on a regular basis. Was doing it was like initial hearings. The city have ultimately settled. This was when Giuliani, I think, was the mayor. So yes, I did. Yeah. And Deruba, I think at the time he was married to an African woman. And I would tell a quick story. So this was after we're coming out of 500 Pearl Street Federal Court building. And Drew was a man. Drew at the time was probably in his 50s or something like. He might be the same age I am now. His wife was considerably younger. But then she came walking down the street, and it was like a movie scene where she's got this long, flowing, beautiful, summery African dress. And there's long legs. I think she was, if I remember correctly, she was a model. And so it's almost like, heads are turned, like she's like gliding down the street kind of thing. And just stepped into the room. It's like, damn, we were like, damn, kind of thing. Lost the lawyer.
Like on Friday, he was like, damn, like that. Or he was like, damn.
Yeah, it was like I lost the lawyer thing for like 3 seconds. Like, how about that kind of thing. So yeah.
Welcome to the Remix Morning Show.
I love the effect women can have just by walking in a room. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah, it's real. It's a real thing.
Depending on who the woman is.
Oh, totally. Because when I stumble in the room, no one turns their head. No one. We're like, someone help her up.
That's horrible. I ain't even mean to trip you that day. But anyway, welcome to the
you
Remix
did. You
Morning
pushed
Show.
me too, Kalonji. I knew it felt a hand on my back. I said, damn.
I was trying to help you, sister.
I'm about to fuck your ankles up, nigga. Ankles is
Anyway,
mine.
where the hell's the ear doctor when we need him? Oh,
Hey.
look at this.
Oh my
Won't he do
goodness!
it?
So Kamal told that whole story just to talk about how fly Daruba's wife
His
was.
wife was,
Yeah, the story's about his wife, not him. Yeah, my bad.
It's
the
kind of
quick
misogynistic.
Quick rewind. When Kalonji said Daruba dropped bombs, was y'all still thinking about him being in the toilet?
Actually, yeah.
And I did it on purpose because I knew that the ear doctor would come back and say just that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happened when you watch the Remix Morning Show.
Oh my
goodness! Tell them what can happen.
You
Anyway,
can't contain this. All right, well, yo, let's take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. Make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. Share it to somebody, because sharing's caring. Caring's sharing. You know what I mean? And also go to patreon.com, drop some change in the bucket, because you know we love it. We got things we're doing, and we need y'all help. All right? So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get to the quick weather report. The weather report. And we're going to start right here in the ATL. ATL, we got a high today of 60 degrees. That's all right. It's all right, because this weather is going crazy right now. It's a whole lot of global warming going on right here. All right. Next, let's take it up to Bridgeport, Connecticut, where my man Kalonji Jama Chankla is from. They got a high today of 42 degrees. It is brick out there. Man, you talk about brick. Let's take it over to Detroit. Detroit, they only 38 degrees is they high today. Man. Now, if you want to get a little warmer, you take it down to H-Town. We're talking about Houston, Texas. They got a high today of 75 degrees. Now, let's take it over to LA, Los Angeles, a high of only 60 degrees. Yo, I'm telling you. And you know they had all that stuff going on in Cali where it was cold, it's a bunch of stuff going on. Now, let's take it to Castres, St. Lucia. That's right. If you want to go vacation somewhere, go down to Castres, St. Lucia. They got a high today of 82 degrees. All right. Now, that's pretty hot. And I'll tell you what else is pretty hot. We had a bunch of different shows going on, and we got a bunch of different shows coming up. Now, first of all, big up to everybody that tuned in to Sundays, this Sunday for Sundays Radio. We got Brokers. They got a new podcast coming out at the end of this week. And we also had Kamal come and talk about This Land Tells a Story. That was something. And then on the 14th, we got Dr. Jared Ball up in Philly, hosted by Mark Lamont Hill. Everybody on here. It's a whole bunch of people, man. So y'all gotta check it out. That's dope. And make sure y'all also check out Warrior Class this Saturday. It was Mama and Daddy Said Knock You Out. And also make sure y'all check out RSTV. That's right. They also had something was pretty dope on Matulu. So please go ahead and check all that out, man. Dope things coming here on Black Power Media. So check all that out. Now let's get back to what we are here for, and that is the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. All right, all right. Kim, you got
I was looking. My bad. I was looking for stories. I got caught off guard there. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm very concerned.
We got a $20 super chat, I think.
Really? Is that right? Let me see.
I see a $20 thing up there. Bring that up.
Yes, yes. Who? Oh, that's my favorite name. P Ghost. $20. It's 17 deaths in Punto yesterday. Boy, it's a lot of big words. You want to go ahead and take that over there, Kamal?
Peruvian armed forces gunning us down for protesting this dictatorship, but the masses are organizing. Palatine Sinimpera. Oh, that's in Spanish. I'm not going to even try that.
Okay.
But yeah, but thank you so much, and we'll dig into that story and report back on that. We appreciate you.
No doubt, no doubt.
And I saw in the chat too, there were some people who said they came over based on the interview with my man with JD.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay.
That's
Wasn't
what I'm
it
talking.
FD? Wasn't it
FD? Wow.
Notice
you
I
won't be
low.
You won't be welcome back to that show.
Yeah. I said it's low and low. It's like
you see what happens, Kamal, when you tell people in other interviews that you're part of Black Power Media. How
that's what happens.
That's what happens.
You can't always fit it in, son. You think it's easy to throw that in there?
All right, here's a quick example.
Should do me up.
Quick example. All right. Hey, how you doing, Kamal Franklin? If you ever want some more info, check us out. I do a morning show called the Remix Morning Show every Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Black Power Media. So come there and check us out, and you get some more of what I have to say. All right.
Oh, okay, that wasn't bad at all. I can't even play you. That wasn't bad at all. You did a good job.
I know. I do it. All right. Well, I catch you on the next break. Y'all go ahead and get to it.
Peace. Kim, it's me and you right now.
Oh, damn. Where'd Kalani go? Sorry, my bad. I was also trying to put stories together over here. I got a couple things popping. Thank you, Piolin's Ghost, for that story about Peru. There's a lot going on across the world. They are in the streets over there in France, everybody. See if we can get some good videos up there for you. But in the interim, Kamal, shall just you and I slap the map? What happened to the Black KKK? Come on, Kalanji.
Slap the map.
Yo, welcome to the Blackest Show on YouTube. Now, the faces on your screen may not denote that, but truly, it really is the Blackest Show on YouTube. It's the Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media, Kim Brown, Kamal Franklin. Kalanji's around here somewhere. We was the Black KKK. We was united in our KKK-ness for a moment, and our Black KKK-ness. So what would the Black KKK do, Kamal?
What would I just don't even think about. I mean, beat up white people. Is that what we do? I don't know.
I would think so. Like, I would think the Black KKK would do all the stuff that the white KKK used to do, and that's what I think. You know, the racist white
we don't want to do that.
You're afraid of shit.
I mean, we want to be principled in our revolutionary fervor and only assault those who need assaulting. We don't want to be a type. We don't want to just take, skin color revenge, right? That's not who we are.
Oh, no, against our enemies only. You know what I'm saying?
There you
for example, I'm thinking of how the KKK would come and burn down Black communities, right? So maybe our response would be to burn down white communities that still have like the white covenants in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe YouTube probably won't like me talking this way. Let me be quiet. But I mean,
the views on Black Power Media.
Like, God damn.
They still got white covenants in place, man. I'm just saying.
This is why you can't go mainstream, B. This is why you are the closest to mainstream.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. You got the voice for it. You got the knowledge for it. You got the look for it. Except for you taking out your hair on camera.
Yes, I know. I know.
All that.
I'm a little trifling. But listen, let me tell you something. So when I'm with my mom, I hear things that I normally don't hear, like Black radio, right? So I was with my mother over the holidays, and there was a local morning show on, and I'm listening to the women on this show. I said, there's no fucking way. I said, there's no way. Because when you really pay attention, especially in Black radio settings, it is so patriarchal. It is always the man morning show featuring these women co-hosts, and I'm like, bitch, I ain't nobody's sidekick, could never be. And the dumb stuff that a lot of certain people are allowed to say on Black radio that goes completely unchallenged, I said, there's not a space for me there, homie. Not a space for me.
Black radio. I mean, but now it's like, I guess I don't know if Steve Harvey and them do this. But I see a lot of. I mean, this is always standard, I should say, but. It's a pretty woman. Definitely the woman is always a good looking woman. She always got the girls out. Early in the morning, the girls are out. All that kind of good stuff. And you're right. But basically, she's like it's. And this is not just Black, but it's like a little radio format thing of like she's there to giggle. She's there to tell the dude not to go so far. The whole debate. Oh, Charlie or Howard. I think Robin. What's her name? Robin Quivers.
Oh my God, Robin's the worst at it.
Yeah, she was like at least one of the original black, but all black women who did it, but the girls were always out, kind of thing, you know.
It's a very sad.
You put the girls out sometimes. You know
sometimes, but I mean, not for y'all. It's because the shirt that I'm wearing that day happens to, feature the girls. Put the girls out, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not. I mean, but you understand, like in black entertainment, you have to do it for the male gaze. Make no mistake about that. Like you must, you must. That's why for a very long time during Missy Elliott's part of her career where she was, selling platinum records and rapping a lot of men didn't even realize that Missy was blatantly rapping about sex. Like I hear, like in retrospect, people are like, oh, how come these women rappers all they rap about sex? How come they couldn't be like Missy Elliott? I said, well, you niggas listening to Missy? Just because you wasn't thinking about having sex with Missy don't mean that Missy was not blatantly rapping about sex all the time.
Right. People desexualized it because of how she looked, the clothes she wore, but she definitely was talking about a few blowjobs and some other things.
And now off to the news.
Oh, you might have to smack the map again because I just said blowjobs.
I went away for a while.
Can you talk about the news after you
girls out? What's going on here? Anyway, shout out to the girls.
Shout out to the girls.
Anyway.
Black KKK back.
Missy did say spit it out. That's what I mean. She was not rapping about the weather, B. Missy was not rapping about the weather.
But because of how she dressed, Missy also wasn't doing it for the male gaze. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She was rapping about, the sex stuff, but she wasn't presenting herself in a way to entice men. But that is what radio, in black radio, I mean, I don't give a fuck what white radio doing. But I mean, again, just look around the country. How many black women do y'all know? And I want to see it in the chat. How many black women can y'all name that are leading morning shows? I'm talking about it is the chick's morning show, not the man morning show featuring the chick. How many chick got their name in their morning show? I can only think of two, and I don't even know if it's still them two. Ooh. But it was a woman in Dallas. I think her name was Dee Dee. Was it Dee Dee McGuire? Can you guys help me out? I can't fucking remember. And then somebody in the Bay Area. Somebody in the Bay. Again.
But nobody national. Nobody national, right?
Hell no.
Syndicated. Nobody syndicated.
And the only one who was syndicated back in the day was Wendy. And you saw what kind of fucking time she was on. You know what I'm saying?
It was a morning show, yeah.
Of disaster. And black radio, by the way, everybody, black women are black radio's target demographic. They target black women specifically as their main sales demographic. And black women are not well represented, in my opinion, because it's always you got to be the gossip girl. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay, let's get to the news. I think the ear doctor's giving us a couple of warnings.
Now back to the run sheet. Okay.
I can start us off. I got some stuff here.
Run it.
And we do have a run sheet, ladies and gentlemen, just in case.
Oh, no, I didn't look at that at all.
No problem.
No, I'll do better. I know better. I'll do better. So y'all excuse me if we talked about these stories already. I'm just joking. I don't think we have. So first of all is story. Did we talk about U.S. Congress passes Bolivia Act banning deal with Maduro's government? Or Bolivar Act, whatever your pronunciation is.
You said Bolivar or Bolivia? Bolivar or Bolivia, what'd you say?
No, Bolivar.
Okay.
Yeah. So the U.S. Senate has passed the so-called Bolivar Act, which no business may be conducted with the Venezuelan regime of Maduro, basically. The bill, which has already been green-lighted by the House of Representatives, bans federal agencies from doing business with anyone who supports Maduro's administration. The initiative has been unanimously approved by the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee in March of 2021. And so I'm going to read this brief part of it. It says, we all know that Nicolas Maduro is doing what Nicolas Maduro is doing in Venezuela. He is starving his own citizens. He is imprisoning his political enemies. He is providing a foothold for Russia, Iran, Communist China, and Hezbollah, and he is actively destabilizing our hemisphere. There is no reason why the U.S. government should work with companies that also work with such a repugnant dictator. said Senator Rick Scott. And it says the prohibition would only apply to contracts entered into as the bill's enactment and would not affect any business with the legitimately elected government of the National Assembly and its elected successors, it was explained. And so basically the what's his name, who I guess is no longer the opposition is no longer even up and standing. And so they don't even have that to fall back on. But this was a relatively speaking new development, and it's interesting that they did this after, of course, that they've already done the deal with the U.S. oil company to allow it to go back in and pump some more oil out when they thought they were going to be suffering an oil shortage, so they can make limited deals when it's in their interest. But now they're trying to again, what they've always been doing is to do a semi-Cuba style blockade against Venezuela and shut down any economic activities for the government and the economic well-being of Venezuela.
I saw a piece in Le Monde. It was a French language piece, but it was basically Maduro saying that he is ready to restart relations with the United States. And this must have happened the same week. Maduro said that he was ready to restart relations with the U.S. And then the U.S. says that we do not want to restart relations with you now that our oil supply situation has been stabilized. And like you said, Guaidó, I think, was ousted of being the leader of the opposition. So it's like they not even the State Department don't even know Guaidó no more, so they don't even say his name.
And you know, they've been, people don't remember or don't realize, you know, at one point Venezuela was far more right wing in the U.S. camp. When Chavez came to the presidency and started to nationalize the oil, the right wing in the U.S. government, but the right wing in Venezuela tried to shut down the nationalization. They tried to go on strike, and they basically, with the United States, tried to, and in some ways have truly destroyed the economic well-being of Venezuela in terms of its ability to export oil, and to really use, when I say nationalize, I mean use the resources for the oil companies, the national oil company, for the purposes of Venezuelan people, as opposed to it going out in profits for corporations and the higher ups in the government and all that kind of stuff. So
Piolin's Ghost is in the chat and said it very well. This is war by another name. I mean, this is war. Continued sanctions against the country of Venezuela, preventing them from selling their natural resources on the open market unfettered, you know, without potential, you know, other countries being sanctioned for buying their stuff out there. I mean, what does the U.S. want to happen here in Venezuela? They want Guaidó in there. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess whatever Maduro's on is too much, too buku.
Yeah, I mean, I think the opposition is just going to sort of try to realign itself around another person. Obviously, they're not going away. The strategy is still going to be there. You know, for later on in the news segment, I think obviously we're going to talk about what happened in Brazil just recently. But I think this is whatever this opposition is, which firmly has outside Western support and interest, and always has and will continue to have. I think they just feel like the strategy that they were using was not working. It wasn't getting them what they wanted. And so they're just going to try a new strategy, maybe with a new face, because obviously he was not resonating with the Venezuelan people. And so he may have Western support, he may have U.S. support, but no one in Venezuela, at least not a large amount of people, took him seriously as obviously as the leader of the government, which he obviously wasn't. He had no control whatsoever, except for what the West gave him in terms of taking Venezuelan resources and trying to say, let the opposition have that. So I just think it's going to be a new strategy by the right wing to come back and try to figure out what can they do now. And maybe they will go as far now as, you know, what we just recently saw in Brazil, in terms of
Peru.
Streets and Peru, yeah.
So it's coup season again.
It does seem like it's
in
coup
Latin
season.
America. It does seem like it's coup season. Isn't Biden down in Mexico City today? I believe for a summit between he and Mexican President, is it Lopez Obrador and Trudeau? What the fuck is he doing down there? Trudeau down there too. But this comes on the heels of the U.S. announcing new changes to their immigration policy, where this doesn't make any sense to me. So they're only going to allow, I believe, 30,000 Haitians, Venezuelans, and Cubans across the border each month. But people have to sign up or make their applications for asylum before arriving at the border. How the fuck we supposed to do that, my guy? How we supposed to do that? And any one of those specific nationalities, was there a fourth in there, Chad? It was Haiti, Cuba, Venezuela. I thought, Nicaragua, I think was the fourth. So anybody of those nationalities found to be in the borders of the United States, they're going to send them back immediately, as Title 42 still stays in place, which again, I mean, Title 42 is about COVID. America don't care about COVID. America is not concerned about more COVID coming into the country. COVID is firmly here. So obviously that's some bullshit. That's some xenophobic, stupid stuff that the U.S. State Department, backed up by the Supreme Court, is putting into place. This seems really dangerous, I would think, for Haitian migrants, for Cuban migrants, for Venezuelan and Nicaraguan migrants, especially if you're already here and have not formally submitted your asylum claim.
Well, that's an interesting switch when it comes to Cuba then, in particular, because for, the longest time, the policy was to welcome in any Cuban that made it to its shores, particularly because it helped destabilize and or show that things were not working well in Cuba and all the rest of it. So it's interesting that if that is a change, that's happening. But I think it, in terms of the internal politics of the United States, it's probably speaking more to the fact that, Biden is trying to guard his right flank, because again, the amount of immigrants who are coming to the border and the whole shut the border down logic by the Republicans and by the right wing, as opposed to shut down U.S. intervention in other countries' policy. So I think that's probably what's happening in terms of this this gathering that they're having in Mexico, is to try to figure out ways again in which they can shut down immigration from happening and close the borders. So I feel like that's it's that kind of pressure that Biden's going to apply to Mexico, and again try to find ways in which, like you said, like people do things outside of the United States, which means that they're never going to let them in the United States in the first place. So again, it's not about a change in policy, which leads to people to be driven out of their homes to come to places like this, because basically the south of the southern hemisphere borders, or southern hemisphere countries, are treated just as sort of subjects to U.S. capitalism in terms of doing menial work, menial jobs. And if they tried to do anything different, then their country would be destroyed. So it's just a continued blockage of, we're not going to let you in, but we're going to continue to destroy your economies as you try to find new ways to feed and clothe and house yourselves.
And that there was, I think, so far the Biden administration, I believe, has deported 40,000 Haitians already, sent them back to a country that was struggling not only with COVID, but, just a destabilized situation there. How are you supposed to get on a computer and file your asylum claim? I'm sure it's loads and loads of paperwork. I'm sure it's loads and loads of documentation. How are you supposed to do that? Exactly. I mean, it's inhumane. These so-called immigration policies, which they aren't policies at all. They are just ways to shuffle people around to make things more difficult for non-white immigrants, basically, because I bet you all the Ukrainian immigrants, they ain't have to go through none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? They rolled out the red carpet for the Ukrainian immigrants. But the Haitians, again, decade after decade, I guess now, generation after generation, just so hostile to the Haitian people in this country, and Cuba and Venezuela, and I guess now Nicaragua is included in that as well. But it's a policy of inhumanity.
Yeah.
There's no justification for it. There's no humane justification for it. They are continuing to violate people's human rights to allow them to live in subsistent conditions on the other side of the border or right there in El Paso. People sleeping under bridges as we are experiencing record low temperatures in places as far south as South Texas. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this except racism, white supremacy, neocolonialism.
And as was pointed out in the chat really quick, but Ukrainian immigrants will be welcomed here with open arms. And just as in the European, what we saw in Europe a year or so ago, was as they stopped and terrified and harmed and tried to kick out immigrants from the Middle East who were making their way, and Africa were making their way, again, based on American wars, based on European wars in those countries. As folks were trying to make their way out, they were met with hostility. They were met with closing borders, new legislation to stop them from entering. But Ukraine, again, the Ukrainians were welcomed with open arms. And so it continues to show not only, like you said, the racism, but again, it's the foreign policy of the U.S. and Europe that drives a lot of these immigration or folks immigrating out of their own nation to find some peace, some place to live, and so forth. Folks don't necessarily want to come out of their countries, but again, if you live in a world capitalist system in which the economies of the world are controlled by a few countries which look to dominate and to keep resources and riches for themselves, of course, you're going to have people moving around, trying to figure out ways in which they themselves can either make their families safe, make themselves safe, make some money and send it back home. So that's going to be the natural occurrence in these kind of situations.
Abolish the border. Abolish the border. People are not illegal. These borders are illegal. Let these people in here. If this is where they want to be, you should let them in. Okay.
So let's stay with what's happening to the south of the United States. So pro-Bolsonaro riots laid bare threat to Brazilian democracy. So as folks already know, many of the supporters of the former president basically stormed Congress and tried to basically have what we considered no less than a right-wing coup in Brazil over the weekend. So for this story from the New York Times, for the past 10 weeks, supporters of the ousted far-right president had camped outside Brazilian army headquarters, demanding that the military overturn October's presidential election. And for the past 10 weeks, the protesters faced little resistance from the government. Then on Sunday, many of the camp's inhabitants left their tents in Brasilia, the nation's capital, and drove a few miles away, joining hundreds of other protesters, stormed Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential offices. And so there was things were vandalized, as folks seen for some of the pictures and some of the videos. Folks, they tore. I think they tore a security guard or a police officer off their horse. They beat the horse. They beat the person.
Yeah, they beat the horse.
They beat the horse.
Christ.
So this is
savages.
So this is definitely akin to what took place here in the United States on January 6th. Now I guess 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, where there was a similar right-wing attempt at storming the Capitol, at potentially overthrowing the so-called democratic outcome of the election of Biden over Trump, when there was a claim of an illegitimate election. And because the right wing is so unlike the left again, but the right wing is connected internationally. So the same figures that are interacting in the United States are connected to what's happening in countries like Brazil, the right in Brazil, the right in Europe. All these figures are actually working together, unlike what's happening again in the left. And what they have on their side is money. They're part of the establishment. There's military resources. There's ways to get their message out through international media that they have access to. So there is a real right-wing connected fascist movement, which operates continually, again, not just locally, but in other countries, and they're exchanging ideas, ways to do things. There's nothing. This is nothing short of potentially a U.S. overtly U.S. sponsored coup, attempted coup, but at least there's a segment of the U.S. establishment which played a leading role in supporting this coup and or giving ideas as to how to make this attempt happen.
What has been the response from the Biden administration? I'm not sure that I've seen. I'm sure that they have commented. Antony Blinken, I'm sure he said something about it, but I'm sure it was something very passive. And we respect the rule of law. We respect Brazilians' right to democracy and rule themselves. But I'm sure if President Lula were to be overthrown, I hope that doesn't happen. Doesn't look like that is going to happen. But were that to be the case, I'm sure Joe Biden would just shrug his shoulders, be like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?"
And the big question is, how much can they lay this on the feet of the right-wing Brazilian president, who again is here in Florida, in the United States? And as we've talked about prior, there are investigations that are happening, which may lead to an indictment of the former president and calling the president back over, or trying to make sure. And there is an extradition treaty between the United States and Brazil. So the question becomes, if there are indictments, or if there are obvious links to this president, to Bolsonaro and the coup, what will the United States do? Normally, the United States has become a safe haven, or historically has been a safe haven for right-wing dictators that the United States supported to come here, or the U.S. gets them to someplace else, but they have them come here, and they can take all their money, they can rest, they can get medical treatment, and they are then safe from the justice of their own country. So a big question becomes whether or not the United States is going to try to find ways to not send Bolsonaro back over to Brazil if he is indicted by the Brazilian federal authorities for participating in this coup and or for corruption during his time as president of Brazil.
Should be interesting. Brazil, I mean, there's so much going on happening in South America, Central and South America. The thing with Brazil and Peru are notable, and to me, there are the U.S.'s fingerprints all over these two events happening right now. So, I mean, America is the right. the American leadership, elected political leadership is the right. I don't just have any doubt that Joe Biden will give Bolsonaro safe haven if his people do decide to indict him. I don't think the U.S. will send him back. Just my take.
I think you might be correct. I don't. That's this huge pressure that's put on them to do something differently. Whether or not that's media pressure, but I agree. I think for the most part,
does that work? Does that work? Because when Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi was assassinated, was murdered by the Saudi crown prince, Biden said a little something. He said a little something, but he still went over there and rubbed elbows with the nigga. Still dapped him up when he saw him. You know what I'm saying? Like all that is just that. That's just things to say. You judge America by its actions, sometimes by its words, but definitely by its actions. The U.S. is the fascist. They are the biggest fascists in the globe, so they stand with all the fascists. So I would imagine that Bolsonaro would receive, the same pass and be allowed to stay if he wanted to, or France will take him in. Somebody will take him in. Portugal, somebody will let him come back.
I think that's the question too, is whether or not, again, there is an extradition treaty, whether or not they want to be on the outs with the Brazilian government. Again, I think you're right. It's like maneuvering of how much they care about that. Again, Bolsonaro was a strong Trump supporter, so whether or not Biden wants to not necessarily be associated with those kind of extreme politics may lead to either, like you said, either sending him back or sending him to someplace else. To let him live out his days somewhere in Europe. So I think all that is something to look out for to see what happens. But who won't be going to Europe? Oh, I was doing a
I was
segue.
going to say, I think I have a. Oh, go ahead. Do the segue. Do the segue.
Should I do a segue? You want to hold it from when we come
No,
back?
no. I have a clip in the email I sent you of
that's
them
right.
roaming the presidential palace, tearing shit up. Now, mind you, and I disagree with what these folks are doing. At the same time, I did not fully disagree with what the January 6 people did at the U.S. Capitol. Okay. It was such an odd feeling to see all them crackers. I said, look at them crackers go, man. Look at them go. Tear that shit up. Shit in Nancy Pelosi's office. I was with
it. I think this is the either Congress or the presidential. So basically, this area has been ransacked. As you can see, there's smoke, which means maybe potentially people were trying to start fires, or could be tear gas to try to clear the halls. As you can see, all the employees, administration people have been moved out, so it's completely abandoned. And you have to think about this place similar to what you would think of federal offices here. They're always packed with people. And as always, people are so stupid. These folks are filming themselves as they're conducting an act, which is going to lead to their arrest. And unlike, what's been reported too in Brazil, is that unlike what happened here, already 12 to 1,500 people who were involved in this this attempted coup have been rounded up and arrested and charged. Unlike the January 6th attempted coup here, where people just went home.
Did you see after January 6th, somebody characterized it on Twitter perfectly. They said, look at all these people walking out of the U.S. Capitol after ransacking it like a concert just let out. It was like, oh, we had a great time at Jimmy Buffett today, everybody. We had a great time.
Exactly.
Concert. What a great time. And to President Lula's credit, from what I understand, he has made it a specific point to round up the law enforcement that have been participants in this particular right-wing uprising at federal offices there in Brasilia. Unlike the U.S. Capitol Police, who we saw photos, videos, pictures of them opening the gates and allowing the rioters to come in. The one clip that I showed on my show when it happened, these people were in the Senate chamber on the floor, and here come U.S. Capitol Police. Hey guys, we need you guys to move it along. I said, hey guys, these people have stormed this building and whipped ass. And you were like, hey fellas, if you guys don't mind, can you guys pack it up and let's get, I need you guys out of here. I was like, the tone, oh my gosh, the soft hand in which the U.S. police dealt with these insurrectionists. So shout out to Lulu for locking up or getting the law enforcement that were complicit. Get them the fuck together, man. And put them on blast. I wanted to see pictures. That's something we never saw at this whole January 6th committee investigation hearing. Who were the police that were the accomplices to the insurrectionists? I want them named. I want the pictures. I don't care how they were disciplined. I just want to know who they are.
Well, speaking of somebody who's I think on backstage, he's trying to discipline us right now. Let's bring back the ear doctor.
Yo, speaking of Capitol houses, y'all see Meek Mill got in a little trouble with the Africans for shooting a video at the Jubilee House.
Oh,
yeah.
What kind of trouble?
Just they like, yo, you can't just come in our Capitol and just shoot a rap video like that. Like, what do you think you are? So he got in a little trouble, but he apologized. He was like, my bad,
Disrespectful ass American. Oh my God. Americans, black, white, whatever, think they can go wherever in the world and just do whatever. The audacity.
Yeah, we do. Yo, so real quick, I'm in a movie theater. I'm gonna talk about a international movie. Real quick, y'all got a favorite international movie?
Besides Shatters.
Right. Well, I'll let y'all come back to that. Let me go ahead and get to the break, and we will get to it because right after that we also have a guest. So let's get to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Yeah. Big up, everybody. Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and this is Black Power Media. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe button, and all that. With that said, we talk about international movies. Which one was one of my favorite international movies? In case you don't know, I'm going to talk about no other than Rockers. That's right, Rockers. In case y'all don't know anything about this movie, let me put y'all on. Rockers came out in 1978 in Jamaican film by Theodoros Bafaloukos. Did I get that right? Well, yeah, that brother put it down right there back in 1978. I mean, this movie had so many superstars in it. You're talking about Leroy Horsemouth Wallace. It was all about him. You had Burning Spear. You had Gregory Isaacs. You had Robbie Shakespeare and Jacob Killer Dilla Miller. Yo, they made this album with $40,000 and did it within 2 months. And when I tell you this movie right here was like a musical and it was like a whole Robin Hood story, it was a great flick. So let me tell you, if you have not seen Rockers, you need to be put on real quick, because I tell you, man, you're talking about a story where you see the whole culture, and then at the same time, you see capitalism. Not a whole lot. You know how we so used to seeing gun violence and stuff? You ain't got to worry about all that. It's a real good, heartwarming movie. So with that said, make sure y'all check it out. That is no other than Rockers. That's right. Check it out. And as you can see right there, this is a nice little scene from it where we got Horsemouth coming into place and your man is in there getting the reggae dancing on. So go check that out. Rockers, y'all, right here on the Remix Morning Show. All right, now let's go ahead and get back to the crew right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yes.
The Battle of Algiers, son.
Yes, most important film.
That was my favorite international movie. I'm saying
Battle of Algiers. That's yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is about basically the Algerians battling the French and kicking them out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Always a big movie on the left, talking about sort of revolutionary struggle and so forth. So big movie.
And you said Shoutus, Kim? Hey, that was my joint. I ain't gonna lie, that was one of my favorite joints ever.
Does Fist of the North Star count as a foreign film?
I'm done. We going to Algiers with you too, Kalonji. You got an international movie.
It's Battle of Algiers, my man. Without a doubt. Battle of Algiers, along with
what's this right here? Let me pull that up to closer to the
Battle
screen.
of Algiers, along with the Wretched of the Earth, to keep everything on point.
That was a movie?
That was a movie.
No, I'm talking about the read along with the Wretched.
Oh, my bad. I was like,
yeah.
Like,
You gotta make sure.
on my favorite Left Beat Festival circuit.
Keep it in effect.
Well, that's what it is. That is your break for the day. Check that movie out if y'all do. If y'all don't, hey, y'all missed something. Peace.
I'm gonna check it out. Thank you.
So, Kalonji, you got a guest coming on?
Yes, I do. I have a. I think we need some healing. So So I called on a sister I've been knowing for a few decades. You know, it's been putting in work, her and her children, and she's always dealing with pertinent issues in the community. One of the things that I would like to focus on, because of course on RSTV, most of the time we have folks who are quote unquote a little more popular on the revolution scale. So I definitely want to start to bring in more folks who are doing work in the community that are often overlooked, because I think that that's key. That's important. Usually the ground workers do more work than the folks in front of the camera. So, I wanted to do that today. So we have in a few ticks, we have our sister Kajara Nia in the building. Remix Morning Show. You know what we do around here. Peace, Mama Gajara. How you doing?
Peace and love. I am wonderful.
Good to
How
see
are
you.
you?
Haven't seen you in a few ticks, you know,
Yes, it's been a while.
without a doubt, without a doubt. For folks who are new to you and what you do, give us a brief bio, if you don't mind, on on the Raseki Arts Temple and the work you've been doing in our community, not just locally but nationally.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to first thank you for giving me this opportunity to share. I am Rekit Kajara Nebehet. I'm the founder of the Raseki Arts Temple. I'm an author, an educator, a community activist, a natural healer, a priestess, a medicine woman, an earth keeper, a light worker, and a dragon slayer, and a tree hugger. I'm also a mother and a grandmother. And it is my purpose to share, to uplift, and to bring light to my people. And so I am very thankful and honored to have been chosen to do that.
No doubt, no doubt. And I've been seeing you, of course, out in the community. You and your children. I've seen them go from um, children to adults. You know, every time I see them, they're like, they've grown from smaller to bigger than me. You know what I'm saying,
Yes.
for lack of better words. But I know you've had a few books out. Can you talk a little bit about about some of the books you've authored?
Sure. I'm an author of 13 books right now.
Wow,
So
wow,
I
yes,
have books that focus on health and wellness. When we talk about healing the mind, body, and spirit, that is something that is crucial for our people right now because we've been through so much trauma and we have to heal ourselves so that we can, you know, return to our greatness. So we have Kemetic Reiki books, which talk about energy healing. I just recently published a chakra workbook and a chakra journal, Revitalize Your Chakras workbook and journal. And this is, both of them have information from my 15 years of teaching energy healing work. And so just revealing more information because we talk about chakras, but it's much more than just crystals and colors. So to get to the deeper healing, the journal is there. And then, of course, the workbook has a lot of exercises, meditations, prayers, and different things that you can use to shift your energy. So I do also have a African prayer book called Speaking with Spirit. That's one of our most popular books. It's African prayers from ancient Kemet to West Africa, and then here from the diaspora as well. We have a recipe book that is good for people who want to eat more healthy and who are transitioning from eating meat to being more vegetarian, vegan, or even raw food. Excuse me. We have another book that's called A Rising Nation, which I was charged to write this book because it addresses leadership and it's basically a code of ethics for those who are leaders in the community because we've had many cases of leaders who have violated people, abused people, and such. And so it was just time that we brought forth this code of ethics for us. And so A Rising Nation is that book. And we also have a book called Healing Ritual Magic, which brings rituals, healing rituals. We have a men's healing ritual, women's healing. It's a ritual in there for ones who are coming home from being incarcerated and how they could clear that negative energy off of themselves, family healing rituals. So yes, that's our main focus, to really help our people to heal using our own culture and our own traditions and our own methods for healing ourselves.
no doubt. And I think that you know, they say there's different paths, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of us who are serious about our people's liberation, we look at things from a physical perspective. We look at things from, a mental perspective as far as, fighting and growing and all of that, and also from a spiritual perspective. And I think that oftentimes when folks talk about healing, it's taken for granted or it's looked at as softball, you know. Or like, oh, y'all talking about all this walking on water and crystals and rocks and alkaline water. What you gonna do for our liberation? What do you say to that?
Well, we free in people every day. When we heal, we free ourselves. In fact, we have a ritual where we really declare our freedom, because when we are not healed, every one of us has suffered from racism, from white supremacy, from oppression, and trauma because of those things. So we can act like it doesn't bother us and we suppress it a lot of times. But when we suppress it, it can turn into disease. It turns into tumors. It turns into high blood pressure and stress and depression and all these other things. So, it's really important for us to do the deep work of healing. And it's well beyond crystals and walking on water. The deep part is to deal with the trauma that we've been through, to deal with the shadow work, to do that inner child healing, because many of us had trauma during our childhood. And that trauma still affects the way that we behave and think and move as adults. So if we don't deal with the trauma, then we continue to be imbalanced beings. And one of my elders told me one of the reasons why it's so hard for us to build as a community is because most of our leaders need some healing.
You know,
So without that, we are not operating in our highest version of ourselves. So that's what we need to do right now. In fact, the whole world needs some healing. It's not just us, but we have special things to heal from that others do not. And so that is what our Kemetic Reiki classes address. Those dealing with racism. That's a lot for someone to live with all their lives, and not face up to how it affects us and
yeah,
how it, in our families, in our career and jobs and such. That stuff is traumatic. And so,
right.
we have to know how to clear it so that we can be more balanced.
Yeah, on the subject of healing and therapy, our
Mhm.
brother Ekendayo has a song, and in it the hook is the world is sick, we need therapy, right? And I think that for so long, uh, the thought of therapy, the concept of therapy, was looked at as a sign of weakness. And
Mhm.
I'm telling folks right now, like some of y'all should be. I'm gonna put my therapist's birthday online so y'all can get them a card and and reward them, because some of you should be happy. You know what I mean? So I think that it is important. It's just like, you talk about athletes. They have coaches. You know what I'm saying? You can have the greatest athlete in the world. They have someone to advise them on how they move, and that's important when we talk about healing work. And you know, there's different forms of healing and different schools of thought, so on and so forth. And I'm always geared towards the of course African healing. How
Mhm.
important for you has healing and spirituality been in your personal life? Because I've known you, like I said, for a couple decades, and there has been times when you've called on for certain things going on in the community, one in which we'll be talking about today. But I just want to know, like, as far as with you and your children, how has how important has it been for you personally?
Well, it's my everything for me in my life. I was going through a lot of trauma as a child, and it caused me to attract traumatic experiences as an adult and just not understanding it. And so, my mother suffered from depression, and she didn't know what it was, and she had to keep going. She had to do what she had to do. In those times, I think they did not have um, the understanding of what they were dealing with. And so we just managed the best way that we could. And I remember even, when I first learned about depression, I was probably in my 30s. And I realized that I too was suffering from that. So that was a part of my journey, in healing myself. I was able to learn different ways to, you know, relieve myself and to be more balanced. And then also I was able to share these things with others because that I'm a teacher. That's just who I am. I was always a teacher. So
Right.
once I was able to get the information for myself and it helped, then I was, you know, guided to how I can help others. So the healing work is my life. This is my life purpose. And it is, you know, some people say, to whom much is given, much is required. And so that has always been in the back of my mind as I've gone through my life. Just understanding that I had to go through what I've gone through in order to get to where I am, to be the person that I am. And that's for everyone,
No
really.
doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
we're meant to overcome our challenges, to be the best versions of ourselves. We have to overcome, you know, those weak parts of us and such. So, yeah, it's not that therapy should not be seen as something that is weak. Seeking spiritual guidance, seeking other modalities, because there's so many things that we could do to heal ourselves. And that gives us strength. And so we need to bring that to our community. For us to be stronger, we got to be whole. We have to be balanced. We have to be able to speak to each other and deal with each other with compassion, kindness, love, you know. And right now, we're dealing with hurt people who hurt other people.
Without a
So,
doubt. Without a doubt. And I like to say definitely you know, black power to that. You know what I'm saying? You know, is definitely needed. I think that that's one of the things that we don't talk about in community. We don't talk about the healing aspect, and you know the fact that we're victims of post traumatic slavery. You know,
yes.
we've you know when you talk about victims of the quote unquote Jewish Holocaust, you know, we overlook our experience. It's like our experience, like, you know, it's almost like we were taught as children when you fall down, you know, get back up, you ain't hurt. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? That's the attitude they have towards African people who have gone through this trauma for 5 centuries plus.
Right.
You know, so much so that as my man Chairman Fred Jr. would say, being oppressed is embarrassing. So much so that we look at we're afraid to say we're African. We want to be everything else in the world. You know what
That's
I'm saying? But you know, we'll say anything. I'm black, I'm this, I'm that, so on and so forth. But it's almost like and we'll align with whatever forces and whatever other communities that exist just so we won't be looked at, because secretly through our trauma it's almost like shame. You
yes.
understand what I'm saying? Like you can't be brave enough. You could say you anything else in the world, but to say you're an African is like, you know, well, you wasn't born in Africa. You know what I'm saying? You know, and all kinds of other craziness. um you're here today. One of the things that you know you reached out about was a discussion around sexual assault.
Yes.
So I want to know. I want to give you the floor, and you know, give us some lead up and some foundation on what's going on right now.
So what is happening is, as an effect of white supremacy, is the male dominated mindset. And that mindset is one which lets men believe that they are, you know, able to do anything to a woman without any repercussions. They are, a lot of men, not all of them, okay, because again, some people are balanced and some are not. But having that mindset allows men to exploit women, to violate and abuse women, and even young women, children, girls, you know, babies, even. And so it is a serious issue in our community. In fact, I would say 90% of the women that I work with have been molested or abused by a man, and usually as a child by a man in their family or someone who was close. So, and then we also have the issue of these men who are um, serving in leadership positions, who also are committing these crimes and violations against women. Men who are so-called priests and babalawos, I've gotten calls about them. Men who are healers doing massage therapy and other things like that. Men who are serving plant medicine now, which that is one of the worst abuses because they're taking advantage of women when they're under the influence of drugs. And so, this issue, I feel like it's coming up for us to deal with it so that we can begin to bring an end to this type of violations. These things happening to women and children, it's up to us to stop it in our community. Nobody's going to come and save our families. That's up to us to do that. And the only way that we can do it is to start talking about what's happening and letting, people know. So in the family situation, this is usually an uncle or stepfather, somebody who has touched many people in the family, but it's been kept quiet. And when the children talk about it to the grown people, nothing is done about it. And so this violator is allowed to continue. And the only way to stop it is to shine light on that situation and then do something to resolve it. So we are also forming a council who can help bring some resolution, because it's not, in some cases, these men, I would say they should go to jail or they should even be castrated. If you're touching a little girl, I'm a little old school, so I'm just saying, it's ways that we could deal with it. But without going to those extremes, we also want to offer some healing and some therapy to those who have been abused and violated, and to those who are committing the abuse, because they need some help. And so we're really working to set up a nice protocol of what can be done in these situations. And we have had success here in Atlanta with a couple of brothers who had been called out. Women came to me and say, yo, this man violated me. I was not expecting this to happen. And so we brought them to the council meeting. Basically, they had to face each other. So the one who was abused and the one who did the violation had to listen to them express themselves and how they felt, how they were made to feel. And that in itself brought healing to both parties. And then, for us to further say, so from this point, we're going to ask that you do not continue to offer services to young women. You're going to have to take some time off. So you can focus on your own healing and then, come back a little later. And we have a few more things set up in place at this point. We had one of the brothers to do some public apology videos, and that was very healing. And he said he got great responses from people who watched them. So, that is something that we are dealing with right now, because it's coming up, just like it's been coming up in the greater society as well.
No doubt. Well, listen, this, I'm old school like you, and you already know my stance because we've talked offline. So I'm pro castration if you're touching little children and whatnot. I'm pro some other things I'm not going to say here online today. But I'm down to disagree violently. We definitely want to get you back on the show. We only have a couple seconds left. How can folks get in touch with you, number one? And number two, when are you coming on to do a segment on the Remix Morning Show or your own show here on Black Power Media?
Yes, you can definitely reach out to me. My classes and retreats are listed at RasekiHealing.com, and all of our books and other products are listed at RasekiStore.com. And of course, you can see us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Raseki Arts Temple. And I would love to come again, brother. Just let me know when. Let's make that happen.
We will chat. We need to make this happen. We definitely need to bring about a healing aspect on the platform. But definitely give a love to the family. I'll see you soon. We appreciate you, and stay on point.
Give thanks, my brother. Much love and Black Power.
All time, all the time. Yes, checking out the Remix Morning Show. That was Mama Kajara. Stay tuned. We'll be right back at you in a minute. What's happening? We're back live and direct Remix Morning Show. What's happening, Kim? You good?
That was amazing. I have been following the Rasiki Arts Temple on Instagram for literally years. I did not know. I did not know that you knew the lady in charge of the Rasiki Arts Temple, Kalanji. Now I know you connected. Now I know you know people. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
know a couple people.
the gems that she just dropped on us, on a variety of things, on healing ourselves, healing our traumas, learning to articulate and put language to the feelings that we experience. But my ears perked up when she talked about what to do about the sexual assaults and the sexual abusers. I
Yeah.
appreciate that holistic community approach, and I think that could be one of the solutions to this epidemic problem. And it's not just in our communities, but I care mostly about our communities, right? I care mostly about Black folks, African folks, right? So when our people are being harmed, boys, girls, non-binaries, women, whatever, I mean, the abusers just cannot be left out here to continue to be predatory upon others. I mean, that's just the nature of sexual abuse. They don't stop at one. You know what I'm saying? They usually got a bunch of bodies under their horrific resumes. And I'm glad that we're all united in the castration. If you went out here touching kids, someone said it in the chat, revolutionary castration. Yes, do that.
No, I don't even, and I usually try not to say certain things because I feel like, some things, even when folks have asked in the past, like they say, those who know don't tell, and those who tell don't know. So the thing is, there's plenty of work that is going on in the community, and that is why I'm always stressing being part of an organization, because when you're a part of a situation, you will be in tune with certain things that the masses won't be, because of the fact that there's always provocateurs, there's always folks who are looking for whatever reason to stop advancement. And a lot of these folks have a vested interest in our demise, even though they come in blackface, even though they scream revolution. So we have to be clear that just because we don't see something happening doesn't mean that it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? You don't see oxygen in the air. I mean, you don't see oxygen, but your ass can't breathe if it didn't exist. You know what I mean? So the thing is, that's why I'm always stressing when folks are yelling like, we need to do this. Ain't nobody doing that. Yeah, there's roles for everyone. So yeah, so definitely shout out to our sister Gajara, who I've known for probably close to 2 decades at this point. So
I'm
yeah.
glad to see it happening and glad to be made aware that it is happening again, because unfortunately, the contrary, the stories that I see on a daily basis, and I'm not exaggerating, and I know y'all who watch my show know I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, I see these stories every day. I see stories specifically about Black women beaten by their partners, eventually murdered by their partners, where they tried to get some quote unquote help, you know what I mean, in advance. They tried to get protective orders. They tried to get the law involved. They tried. And ultimately, their abuser ended up taking their life. There is a viral story right now on Twitter of a young Black woman. This story her thread has gotten tens of millions of views. I think the last time I saw it, it was like at 15 million views, where she went through and detailed how she was, I'm going to say allegedly here because I'm a journalist, but I believe her, where she was allegedly sexually assaulted by a friend of her, a friend of a friend. She was intoxicated on New Year's Eve. She was told by her male friend that she could go in the room and lay down because she wasn't feeling good. And then another friend came in and sexually assaulted her. And when she approached her original friend, a male, I need information about this man. This man did this to me. I'm going to the authorities. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's when niggas all of a sudden believe in the criminal justice system when the chick is raped. Well, why don't you go to police? She was trying to go to police, and her friend, her quote unquote friend, did not want to offer up the other friend's name and information, basically protecting the rapist from being held accountable. And we see a lot of that, Kalanji. I mean, this is generations now of this happening, um where people who are committing harm in our community serially are protected. And I just want us to get to the point, and through this political education that the sisters doing, and the political education that you're doing, hopefully we'll get to a point where sexual assaulters and abusers are not protected. You know what I'm saying? And if it's a community thing, if it's a situation where the community comes and collects them, where a face-to-face situation like the sister described, I support that. Where the brother is forced to apologize publicly, I support that. I can assure you, most survivors and victims of sexual assault and rape, I know the jail ain't necessarily the answer, but I mean, what our options are few out here. And if there could be some community accountability, some sort of informing of the community about what this individual is alleged to have done, and for all their victims to come forward, and so people can really have a good contextual understanding about how much harm and damage one person can do, I support that. I don't want the fucking law involved. You know what I'm saying? Because the law doesn't keep us safe. If we could have a system of accountability where women are believed, children are believed, survivors are believed, and then accountability is put there for the abuser and the rapist, I'm with that. I am with that. I just see a lot of unwillingness. I see people just basically bitches be lying. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to say it. That is the attitude, the widespread attitude about women who come forward about abuse, is that bitches be lying and somehow you deserved it. You shouldn't have got drunk. You shouldn't have wore them little shorts. You should have had some drawers on. You should have knew where your friends was. You should have watched your drink better. You shoulda, you shoulda, you shoulda. Ain't none of
I
that
mean,
fucking advice for the rapers.
I agree with you, and I agree with you on all that you said, and to add on to what you're saying as well, you know, we have to keep in mind that we are in a sick society as a whole. We're in a sick society that mimics the oppressor. And we're also in a sick society that doesn't support folks who do stand up. We have political prisoners out here. Many have responded to certain actions and they're ignored once they're captured. So on the flip side, when you're asking folks that, okay, you need to stand up, you need to do such and such, it's almost suicide to some folks because of the fact that they get locked up or whatever the case is and they're forgotten about immediately. So we have to, again, organizing and structuring uh, uh, and creating a situation for the masses, because everything, keep it in 100, ain't for the masses. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we have to, again, part of what she was talking about is the healing aspect. We are sick people. We are sick individuals. There's so much illness in society, and sickness is promoted. You understand what I'm saying? Over well-being, over health. So when you're dealing with a damaged people, you're going to get damaged results. So yes, indeed, I see someone in the chat said something about folks need to be made more aware about those organizations. Again, the way you become aware of organizations and things that exist is to first become a part of organizations. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that you have to realize too that the state allows and condones certain things because it's lucrative to them. They gain and they earn off of the bullshit. That's a factual thing. So we need to again not say, you know, why ain't nobody talking about this? We have to look for certain things as well. What they say, seeking ye shall find. I'm not gonna blame the victim, but at the same time, I can't do all your homework for you and live at the same time. You have to, just like the things you like. If if you're interested in a man or whatever, you know everything about this man. If you're interested in a woman, you know everything about this woman. You have to know everything about our survival, and you have to understand that when you walk outside your home, or even not even leaving your home, sometimes that there are predators and there's folks that are out there to make you a victim. So you don't aid your predator, you try to make yourself victim proof. So indeed, I agree with all you saying in regards to, folks talking about you shouldn't have been wearing this, or you shouldn't have been drinking this, you shouldn't have been this. Be careful about who you deal with. I'm gonna quote Nas: watch them niggas that be close to you and make sure they do what they supposed to do. We have to be aware of the people that are around you, who you call your friend,
That's
who you
right.
call whatever you decide. You call them family, they fam for what? Because y'all like the same things? Because
But
y'all
I
do
think it's
the same
I
thing?
think it's easy. I think it's easier for you and I in our 40s and 50s to say that. You know what I'm saying? But when you're in your 20s, when you're a old teen or in your 20s, you think that your crew is your crew, right? And I say this, and I'm not trying to delve too much and not get too deep about my own personal experience, but you would be surprised as to who will set you up for a fucked up situation. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, these are things that you come out as a no.
Kim,
Your mom
I
and
think
dad might
something's
keep
wrong
you.
with your mic. Am I the only one hearing this? Only person hearing this?
I don't know. Am I coming through here, doctor?
Seems like a lot of static. I might
Nah,
be wrong.
it was only you. She's straight.
That's your shit, Kalanji. Tighten your shit up, dog. Get off that dial up, my G. let's get to the FiOS. Anyway, but what I'm saying is, the thing is, and I don't disagree with you, Kalanji, try to make yourself as victim proof as possible. The problem is that I can make myself victim proof as I can. I know that no means no. Does the young man who is drunk and horny, does he understand no means no? Does he understand that if I'm asleep, that means the drawers is closed? You understand? Like there is a lot of young folks, young predators out here who may not even think themselves to be predators, but because they're inebriated and horny and a drunk chick is in their bed, they feel as though they are entitled to that drunk chick. You
Yeah,
understand? And there's a
yeah,
lot of that going on.
yeah.
So I think that consent is a lesson that is wise to teach children of every gender identity. You know what I'm saying? And I
And I
don't
agree.
think that our young men specifically are being taught consent, because the mindset of some older men still continues to be, get as much booty as you can, get that booty, oh man, she fat, get
Uh,
that booty. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and that's wrong. Okay,
I,
that's
I, I,
wrong.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree with all you're saying, because you're saying young men don't, and I know a lot of young men that do. So the thing is, again, it's about community as well. Keeping in mind that we're dealing, there's no absolutes. You know what I'm saying? There's no absolutes about women. There's no absolutes about men. There's some boys and young men or adult men that haven't been taught certain things, as well as women. You know what I mean? But the thing is, along with that, until we reach that particular juncture, I have to teach my daughters how they move, how dudes move, how women move, how not to trust certain women that you around. You know what I'm saying? How not to trust men. I have grown children. You know what I'm saying? So I don't just look at it as, I can't say to my daughter or say to anyone, hey, you know, dudes out here bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And you need to raise your boy right, or whatever, so on and so forth. My daughter's still gonna be out here. So whether this dude is on point or not, my daughter still has to be on point,
And
or
she's
she can
still
become a victim,
vulnerable. Exactly.
or she can
Exactly.
become a
She could
victim.
be She could be head to toe in a burqa, be a sober Sally, never touch drugs or alcohol ever again a day in her life, and there is still somebody that is plotting. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
Because they were not
Yeah,
caught.
yeah.
But I mean, what we can't be is obtuse to the ways in which gender-based violence. I mean, these are not even statistics here, Kalanji. Would you agree with that?
I'm not. I mean, honestly, I can't even go with statistics because a victim is a victim. If I'm sexually assaulted or you're sexually assaulted, if someone comes and rape me or sexually assault me, I don't really care about the stats because at that point I'm a victim. So again, I have to do my best. And now, again, I'm never blaming the victim, but I'm saying I have to do my best to, certain things. I have to lock the doors if I don't want someone to come through the door. I got to close the windows and lock the windows if I don't want somebody to come through the windows. If I don't want anybody to break into my car, I need to set the alarm. You know what I'm saying? I should, as my grandmother used to say, she used to say, always carry something with you to keep the hanks off you. Now, I didn't know what the fuck the hanks was, but I carried something with me, and
You
it
kept
worked.
the hanks off you,
Yeah, it keeps
right?
the hanks off me. So the
Hey, but
reality is,
like
I get.
our guest
Yeah,
just said it. Our guest said there's a lot of people out here being assaulted by family members. You can
I,
lock the
I,
door all you want if the wolf
I
is
was one of
in the
them.
room down the hall.
Okay, so check it. So the thing is, I was assaulted as a child. Okay, so I'm not talking like some heterosexual man that's just, I'm coming with my patriarchy, so on and so forth. I was assaulted as a child. Okay, so I'm telling you, for me, as someone who would never be a victim again, you know what I'm saying? Things to safeguard yourself. Part of training is being prepared for whatever situation. Folks can go nuts on you any kind of way. Here in Atlanta, there are little girls in high schools that they will befriend their quote unquote classmates
Hmm.
who are vulnerable and sell them off to another dude and have them out there sex trafficked or involved in prostitution. That's the reality of life. Now I don't know about any statistics. I'm not that smart. But what I do know is that none of us want to be victims. So we can go with the numbers, or we can say, look, you don't want to be a victim. Let's try to victim proof ourselves as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. So I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm offering something to move with. Like my grandmother said, keep the hanks up off you. You know what I mean? So certain things you have to do to safeguard yourself. You just can't say that, you just need to teach yours. That sounds good, but in the real world, there are folks that have been taught some of the best morals and education in the world, but that don't mean they're going to abide by it.
That's true.
So we have to make sure that we protect ourselves, and then everything else, like they say, free your mind and your ass will follow. So we can't sit back and wait for someone else. We just strengthen ourselves as much as we possibly can, and hope and pray
But
that we on point.
that's strength on both ends, right? You can try to
Yeah,
inform people who would be, potential victims about how to best protect themselves. I mean, I'm thinking about, again, I think about y'all. I think about y'all with daughters out here. I think about y'all with young daughters, teenage daughters, young 20-something-year-old daughters. And I know the level of instruction that they're getting from you all as fathers. I want the boys to get that same level of
yeah, absolutely.
education.
And,
And
and
I
I have
and I
sons. Yeah,
believe I don't, okay, and I believe that you are educating your son, your daughter in that way. I just know that girls get a lot of instructions how to sit, how to comport themselves, and I don't think at the same levels. I'm not saying no boy never, but I don't think at the same levels boys are getting those same instructions. I
well,
don't believe it because I
yeah,
can look and see the stories that the young women are telling. I said, God damn, that might as well be 1995. Like it's
again,
2023 and these young girls are out here telling the same stories that I
right.
could tell in college, that my elders could tell about their collegiate and youthful experience. And I'm like, are any fucking lessons being learned here? Because the same shit continues to happen.
Right. Well, again, like you said, there are no absolutes. I know some real strong young men out here, children of comrades who are real good brothers. But at the same time, I also teach my sons that, you know, how to move, because they too can be a victim of
That's
being
right.
falsely accused. Because
Mhm.
I've went to school with folks and I've seen situations where I was with someone that was accused of something. You know what I'm saying? And it was like it was all the way false. And everyone took the young lady's word for it. And then years later, after she was born again, she admits, now she's crying like, I messed up this man's life, whatever, it was all because of this, so on and so forth. So again, we have to safeguard ourselves. You know, we have to safeguard ourselves. And again, as far as children, look, don't allow, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be predators in your family, but I think that in my particular family, folks already know we're not calling the police. You put your hand on my child, you're dying. I'm saying that in public. I don't give a fuck. Part of my language. I don't care. You put your hands on my child, we have a problem. So that's that. There's no negotiation. There ain't no, I was just changed. No. But at the same time, don't allow your children to go spending the night with everybody. You understand what I'm saying? You don't know their parents. Yeah, you might like the children, but you don't know the father. You don't know the mother, whatever the case is. So we safeguard ourselves as much as possible. And then again, there's no absolutes. I'm not saying that that's going to stop everything, whatever, so on and so forth, because some people be like, well, you can't stop this. Look, you can't stop a whole lot of things, but you prevent as much as possible.
That's right.
You know what I'm
And the
saying?
effort,
That's all I'm
it's so
saying.
long as the effort is being made, because again, we are still less than 100. I mean, it has not always been against the law to rape women or to abuse children.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't, I
These
don't
are
get it. Yeah.
recent phenomenons in terms of the legal perspective. Now, morally, I would hope, but no. I mean, in this country, it was not illegal for husbands to rape their wives up until what, y'all, 25, 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So these continued of women having more autonomy and more say
Kim,
over
I
their
think something's
bodies.
going on with your mic, Kim. I think
I
something's
don't think
going on.
so. I think something's going on with that internet. You
Yeah, I think something's going on with your mic.
here, doctor, can you hear me?
Regardless,
I can hear you fine. You're not going out. Kalonji, stop hitting the button, yo. She sounds great. Everybody.
I didn't
Stop
even hear
hitting the
what the
button,
doctor said.
Kalonji.
Oh my goodness. Bruh, stop producing. Oh my goodness. You keep hitting the button and this, that, and the third. Anyway, let's take a quick break. Y'all don't have no concern of the timeline and none of that, but I'm just here to produce, I guess. God damn. All right, let's take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Woo, what's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I am in the streets of NYC today. I'm going to do a little artist spotlight. Who am I going to talk about today? No other than... That's right, KMD. KMD. Y'all don't know about KMD? Let me tell you about it. All right, boom. So KMD, also known as Causing Much Damage, or A Positive Cause in Much Damaged Society, is a trio that came out in the 80s through the 90s. Now, the group had Zeb Love X, it had DJ Sub Rock, and at first it had J1, but he dropped out when they got the record deal and they brought on Onyx the Birthstone Kid. Now, the group fell apart in 1994, but they did release an album called Mr. Hood in 1991. And then after that, they came out with another album called Black Bastards. Now, what happened is with this group also is DJ Sub Rock actually tried to cross the street, a highway, and got killed. So he got killed. And then they dealt with different record labels, wound up going to Elektra, put out the Black Bastards, and they wasn't really, the record label wasn't really feeling the album cover because it had a bunch of jigaboos in it, and they was talking about Black Power and this, that, and the third, which they was like, that's too much. So that happened, and then the group broke up, and then 1994, your man moved on, who we called Zeb Lover X, and turned into MF Doom. That's right, MF Doom is Zeb Lover X, who is right there in the middle with the Malcolm X hat on. So that is KMD. As you can hear, they had 2 albums, like I said, Mr. Hood in 1991 and Black Bastards in 2000. So that is your artist spotlight for the day right here on the Remix Morning Show. Now, let's get back to our morning crew. You know how we do. Yeah. All right.
Ear doctor, does
What
my mic sound nice? Check 1.
Your
My
mic sounds great.
Sound nice. Check 2. My mic sound nice. Check 3.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Now
Yes,
rock,
yes.
y'all. To the beat, y'all. I keep
So,
on.
Did y'all know that was MF Doom?
Nope.
Word?
Nope.
I remembered KMD, right?
Yeah, KMD.
I remember them slightly, but but
Probably remember
I
this.
ain't put 2 and 2 together.
Peach Fuzz. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Peach Fuzz.
And they was with the Ansar Nation, and they was also down with the 5%ers. They did a song with Brand Nubian called Nitty Gritty. So yeah, it was dope.
I'm so embarrassed. The only way I know KMD, don't throw too many tomatoes at me, Chad, is because they was down with Third Base. I remember Third Base giving
Gas
KMD
They did. That's
a rock
right.
on the gas face. I'm like, because I was about 10, 11 in the 1990s, so I didn't remember KMD. Shut up, Kamal. But I'm like, oh, that's who Pete Nice and MC Search were shouting out on the gas face.
Yeah, that is it. So that's your quick spotlight. Maybe we get a little bit more news in before the show is over.
I got all of Kim's stories up, so I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get it. I'll holler at y'all
She has
later.
some interesting stories. Bam.
Bam. Thank you. And then we done switched out to another K. Isn't that something? We had Kalanji on here.
Now we're all back on together.
Oh, there we go.
I was having some mic problems. I couldn't hear through my headphones and whatnot, so I had to do some switch outs.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone in particular that you want to bring up?
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna make some choices then.
Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, pick one.
Bam. Okay, so this video made the rounds, I think the last day or so, about a New York City police officer.
NYPD.
I don't know why it says this appears to be a teen, but I guess maybe they got the video early on. So, Kim, you want to run with the details that you know about? Or
hold on. Well, I gotta bring it back up because I said a number of things. But what was okay?
I'm gonna start the video just so folks can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
This is a cop beating up I think she's a 13-year-old girl. And I'm gonna stop it right now. Too much play. It's a short video.
So that's short. I think that was actually filmed in proximity to a middle school. I'm sorry, come on, I didn't know that's what you were wearing. Let me see if I can bring up the supplementary information surrounding that clip. But as we can clearly see, New York police departments, New York's dirtiest, most grimiest, can't call them New York's finest, ain't nothing fine about them. Being physical and violent with what appears to be a teen child. Hold on.
As you look for it, what I know about the story too is that supposedly there was a fight after school or around the school, and the police were called in. And in the midst of, I guess, supposedly breaking up or allegedly breaking up some fight, they decided to obviously beat this young girl down. But maybe they thought they were pushing her back. All credit to her, talking about people defending themselves. This basically what looks like to be obviously a grown man, but a 200-pound something grown man. Basically, if that's the way in which he either was trying to quote unquote restrain her, was not a restraint at all. He physically was beating her over the head. And you see her friends in the video trying to break it up. I think the cop has now been suspended, is my understanding, for further investigation. But again, without those cameras rolling, you would never have heard about a story like this or seen this. And the way this would have been written was that a police officer was assaulted, and that police officer had to arrest a girl. And in that arrest, she was quote unquote taken down, or she had to be restrained because she was attacking the cop. That's what you would have heard if someone did not videotape and put this up on Twitter or YouTube, wherever it was originally first put up, for folks to see and to examine how particularly Black youth, you don't see this kind of interaction with white cops and white youth. This is particularly an interaction between a white cop and Black youth who they have no respect for, who they think they can get away with this.
No, I'm looking at it on my phone. It's really hard to watch. This is reported to have taken place 1 block from ISO 51 Edward Markham Middle School, New York. Y'all know where that is? I'm assuming a Black and brown center of public education there. And yes, this is a grown ass man with a big grown ass balding head with a closed fist striking this young girl. And you're right. No, white children are not done like this. You know what I'm saying? Not all the police violence is reserved for black and brown children. Period. Point blank. White kids do not experience police victimization and brutality in the same way. And you're right. It would not have been a story at all. There would not have been any sort of discipline against this cop were there not any video cameras recording. And it kind of gets back to, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who has a tween, like a 10 going on 11-year-old, and they were debating about whether or not to get the kid a phone. And I said, no, don't get the kid a phone. But damn it, Kamau, the kids need phones. The kids need to be able to document the bullshit that they encounter, should they encounter it. Because it won't be believed otherwise.
You are, that's the debate. You know, we have a 10-year-old now, and of course the 10-year-old constantly wants the phone because they can look cool with the phone, they can play around with the phone, and so far we've been, on the Jared Ball side of things, of like a firm no for now, but maybe in junior high school or something along those lines. But you're right, it's like, even going further back into the discussion you guys were having, just to know where if to have a track on the phone, to know where your child is. For your child to be able to communicate with you. There's again, in a sick society, there's so many things that you feel can go wrong that obviously may, in some weird ways, they may be slightly overemphasized in terms of danger, but there's still present danger. But I'm thinking particularly of like police shootings, not police, I mean shootings in schools, that kind of thing, these incidents after schools, even interactions with classmates and stuff like that. So in some ways you want to know where your child is all the time and then potentially have a way for them to communicate with you. And so it's an ongoing debate about what's the proper time frame in order to give the young one their first phone, which of course in their world, all they're really concerned about is having it to flex a little bit with it. But in our world, it's like, how do we make sure we're in some kind of communication with you in case you need us, right? And we need to come help and support. So yeah,
it's interesting because I think youth are encouraged to document, or they have been brought up in a society that is technologically advanced where you can document things via the palm of your hand. I mean, I was just thinking, Kamau, like you going to New York City public schools, I'm sure having encounters with police as a young child. Just think about the shit you could have documented were the technology available. And I know for people our age, there's a lot of shit we forgot, you know what I'm saying? Because either we were powerless to do anything about it in the moment, it was a traumatizing event, and it was better just to soldier on and move on and forget about it. But just think about the kind of, as speaking specifically about interactions with adults and specifically about police, what kind of shit could you have documented as a kid?
I mean, in my high school, in particular, it's the era when they started putting in the search screen, the what do you call it, the metal detectors, and all that kind of stuff. So if we had phones, obviously, folks being thrown up against the wall, actual searches, people being made to people having their pants sort of jimmied around to try to see if something was going to fall out. That kind of like pushing, shoving, some arrest. Nothing as violent as that to my recollection, but definitely kids being mushed in the face and pushed down by security police on the ground and rubbing their face in the concrete, that kind of thing. So, the advent of mobile phones, and all the things it allows technology-wise, again, the things that have again, police violence has always played a certain role in bringing people out in the streets. Most of the rebellions of the 60s happened because of some police interaction with community. When we move up to things in the 70s and 80s, and the right wing zeitgeist of talking about how the police was good and the police was this and the police was that, it was only like the videotaping of Rodney King being brutalized, like brought the nationwide reaction. Wasn't on the cell phone at the time, but the type of recording and then the future recordings of all the things that have happened have allowed folks to say, whether or not we should have to do this or not, but to not necessarily have your word strictly against a cop, but to have some outside videotape evidence, documentation that can show that, it ain't people just lying or telling stories, that far more often it is the cop who is telling a story. It is the cop who's writing your initial report to always make things look their way. It is the district attorney who believes the cop who presses the charges. It is the judge who believes the district attorney and the cop who finds people guilty and puts on excessive sentences. And it is the media who uses the police version to create the narratives about criminality in our community.
A lot of things could and would have been documented if the technology had been available, and I'm kind of glad that it wasn't, to be honest. There's a lot of pressure on the kids these days. Actually, in a separate, somewhat related story, and I think I'm gonna talk about this tonight on my show, Burn It Down with Kim Brown, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. But there's a Seattle school district come out that is, I don't have this in the run sheet, by the way, but there's a Seattle school district that is suing Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, because of the detrimental mental health effects that these social media platforms are having on the kids. And I said, right on, because, and this is going to be interesting because I think there's going to be another, not similar, but another lawsuit versus big tech coming up in this term of the Supreme Court, where I think it's a case pertaining to whether or not social media companies can be held criminally liable for things that are posted on their network. So that'll be an interesting case. But to think about the ways in which kids are being impacted by the proliferation of social media, I think is something very valid. I'm not sure if this case is going to be able to stand up in the courts. But I think it at least needs to be looked at, because I'm a big girl. I'm in my mid-40s, Kamal. When people be like, I sent you a message here, and did you check your notifications there? And did you get this email? Did you get this? I said, God damn, I can't keep up with all this shit. I cannot keep up with all this shit. And yet the children are being not only expected, but mandated to keep up with all of these things, vying for their attention. It's so sad to me that children, school-age children who are bullied, for example, in school, have to go home and still be bullied on their phones. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I got bullied in school, and guess what? When I went home, I was not bullied because I was home. You know what I'm saying? But damn, to go home and still have some shit banging on your phone, talking about you ain't this, go kill yourself. I'm like, God damn, the children do not get a chance to rest out here. Your thoughts about social media effects on the mindset and the mental health of not only young people come out. I would argue that all of us are being impacted negatively by social media in some form or fashion, to varying degrees, depending on your age and status and different variables, but I think all of us are being negatively impacted by social
Yeah,
media.
we can wrap it up soon with this, talking about this topic, but
Sorry.
that's fine. I mean, I think it's, again, one of those things that are extremely important. That it's always like there's some benefits to it, but like you said, like this is the way in which it's taken over all of us in terms of our mind, our time, our emotional setting, in terms of whether or not people like things and how people talk about us, and the public way in which we can particularly try to dramatize our lives. Again, as much as we try to, in our particularly family situation, sort of protect or be mindful of what's happening when our daughter's on social media, she enjoys social media. She, like, what little she gets, like she has we let her create a little YouTube channel, and she could do like some fake TikTok dances there. She does little skits, but just the fact that, this is something that kids enjoy and want to do and like to do. But the negative aspects of it is that there's people make comments on it, or like you said, folks always found ways, kids, particularly in Western societies, to bully each other, to make fun of each other. But now like you say, it is not like you get to stop and take a break from it. If you are connected at an early age to some device, then you go home and then you further, and not just through social, but through messaging, through group chats and all that kind of stuff. So it's, in terms of the whole theme of the show around mental health, safety, protection, people looking out for each other, looking out for themselves, there's a lot out there that we got to protect ourselves from and with. And hopefully, this channel is one way to get some information, to talk about it. So please, hit them likes, keep on coming back. Let's keep having this larger dialogue with our community and our folks around us. Let's figure out a way to organize and fight back and to protect ourselves and develop the culture and political sort of apparatuses that we need to do all of that and more. Ear Doctor, you coming on? You popping up? You coming on?
I just came to say bye, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. right here, back on the Remix Morning.
Bam.
Show.